Hi, everybody. Peace. Welcome to the Started by the College Football Show. Wherever or however you are listening, we're so grateful to have you here with us. As you guys know, I'm your host, Sean Cottle. And listen, it is our last show of the week, guys. We are going to be previewing Alabama, Wisconsin. We teased it a little bit earlier in the week, so we're going to be covering it, previewing it this week, or today, sorry. And we're also going to be releasing the newest edition of the Heisman watch list for week 3. As you guys know, it's your guys' favorite segment of the week in college football. So we've modified it. We have updated the list so that it represents most accurately the status of who we believe are the Heisman frontrunners. So I'm sure you guys are going to be looking forward to that. So we're going to be covering that as well, guys. But before we get started, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all our latest content that we post daily. And if you would like to gain access to some of our exclusive content, you can do so by following us on Patreon. You can do that by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar, and typing in Sorry to Bother You Show. That way you can gain access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily as well. And none of this is possible without you guys, the fans, so we're so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you guys show us. So with that being said, guys, let's go and get right into it. Like I said, we're going to start the show previewing the matchup between Alabama and Wisconsin. So going into this week, guys, there were a lot of questions on Alabama's offense in terms of their consistency and their ability to limit turnovers. And I talked about how the reason that they looked the way they did against USF is because one, Caden Proctor, their starting right tackle, was out, but also Kalen DeBauer was allowing the young players on that team to get reps and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes through in-game reps, because it's better to get those in-game reps and make those mistakes against USF as opposed to against a Texas or an Oklahoma or a Georgia or even an Ole Miss or an LSU. It's better to get those mistakes out now and those growing pains out the way now against the USF. And I guarantee you Alabama came out of that USF game for the better. And, they're going to continue to improve. And I believe this game against Wisconsin is going to be a replication of that. We have to understand that a lot of people are expecting Alabama to not play at the level of expectations that they were under the Nick Saban era. And a lot of that is on a subconscious level that they don't want Alabama to be as successful as they were last year and in previous seasons. And they're looking for reasons for why that might be the case. And some people believe it's because, it's new regime, new culture under Kalen DeBoer. And some people believe it's just that, they don't have as many talented recruits as they once did. Some people believe that the increase in competition in the SEC is the reason why they won't be as successful. People come up with a plethora of excuses and reasons for why Alabama won't be as good as they were in previous seasons. But the fact of the matter is they still have to go out there and play, and they still have to go out there and create results. And so far they've done that. Jalen Milroe has continued to increase and improve his game, and he's become much more proficient as a passer. His ability to step up in the pocket and make accurate throws, not just in the deep ball and outside the numbers, but particularly in the intermediate routes, inside the numbers, inside the hash marks, which is something he needed to improve on from last year. And he's done that. The linebacking core for Alabama has improved as well. I talked about that after week 1 about how they need to improve and show leadership. And, the linebacking core at Alabama now looks like one of the quickest and most agile linebacking cores in all the country. Their ability to stop the edge rushes and their ability to cover the flats, it looks phenomenal. And the secondary looks great as well. The only question mark I do have for Alabama in totality is the consistency in terms of his play on the offensive line. Obviously, I talked about how Caden Proctor was hurt and didn't play against USF, and Kalen DeBoer put in a redshirt freshman in replacement of Caden Proctor, and that freshman made a couple mistakes, well, quite a few mistakes, I will say. But as I led off this segment, though these young players learned from those mistakes and they had those growing pains, experienced those growing pains against USF, and it's necessary for them to grow. So the consistency across the board on the offensive line is really the only question mark I have for Alabama. Listen, the receiving core is talented. Led by Kobe Prentice and Ryan Williams, who's the youngest player in college football at 17 years old. I've never heard of a player reclassifying to go up a year, especially in football. Being obviously being a college athlete and professional athlete, we always hear about guys reclassifying down, but you very rarely do you hear about them classifying back up, and that's very interesting to me. And for him to be as effective and explosive at 17 years old in the most competitive, not competitive, well, one of the most competitive programs in the country, but really one of the most physical sports, is very interesting to me. Mind you, remember he's going up against some teams that have 5th-year, 6-year guys, guys that are red shirts. So he's going against some guys that are considered grown men, and it's very impressive to me that Ryan Williams has been able to be as explosive and efficient as he has been. And obviously the running backs as well, Jan Miller and Justice Haynes, who are extremely counter in terms of their running style, very counter to what Alabama has had in previous seasons in the backfield in terms of Chase McCullin and Jahmyr Gibbs and Brian Robinson, to name a few. Even Roydale Williams last year, who's now at Florida State. Justice Haynes and Jan Miller are more akin to the old school style of running back at Alabama, i.e. the Mark Ingrams and the Derrick Henrys and even the TJ Yeldon in a sense, but more so that Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry, a little bit Trent Richardson as well. More downhill, not really looking to do a lot of cutbacks or cutting outside. Though they are capable of doing that, they're very much more vertical in their running style and their running attack as opposed to horizontal. And it bodes well, fits well with the blocking scheme for Kalen DeBoer in Alabama. But Alabama has looked proficient, man, and I do believe that this game on Fox against Wisconsin, Wisconsin is a team that has looked pretty proficient again defensively. They've given up 14 and 13 points respectively in both of their games. They are more physical than the average opponent because they are in the Big Ten, but there are levels to this. Something we talk about all the time. There's levels to this, and I believe that Alabama's physicality is going to take its toll on Wisconsin over the course of the game. Listen, Matchup Predictor has Alabama with a 92% chance of winning this game, and the line currently has Alabama minus 16. The over-under is currently set at 49.5, and I don't believe that's entirely too far off. I mean, look at Wisconsin is allowing 183 yards per game, which is 51st in the nation, and that's right on par with what Alabama does well, which is running the ball. And I believe that Alabama is going to do a good job of controlling time possession, controlling the flow of the game by getting to a rhythm on the ground game, which is then going to open up play action and a deep ball for Jalen Milroe. So don't be surprised if you see a couple deep balls, like I said, to Ryan Williams or Kobe Prentice or Kendrick Law even. But I have Alabama winning this game by a score of 34-17. And people are going to start to now finally say that, okay, well, Alabama looks about the same as they were last year. They're still that elite team, that elite program. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Leave your thoughts in the chat room. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. Now, in our next segment, guys, we are going to be doing our Heisman watch list, our favorite, the best segment of the week. So be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we previewed the matchup between Alabama and Wisconsin. And in our last segment of the week, guys, we are going to be revealing our newest edition of the Heisman watch list. All right, so listen, I know you guys look forward to this every week, and we're not going to waste any time with it, guys. We're going to get right into it. So, this week for our Heisman watch list, we only have 3 candidates, 3 people on this list. I know I told you guys it would fluctuate from week to week, so don't worry. Right now we only have 3, and we're going to start from 3 and work up to 1. So at number 3, we have, in my opinion, the most explosive quarterback in all of college football, perhaps the best runner in all of college football despite the position, and that's Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe has 394 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. Though his QBR is only at 70.6, that's merely because Alabama's offense has not had that many possessions on the field, and that's because they're so explosive. They score in 3 or 4 plays and they get off the field. And if we look at Jalen Milroe's rushing stats, he has 22 carries, 81 yards, with 4 touchdowns, with his longest run of 40 yards. So he's accountable for 9 touchdowns already, 2 games into the season for Alabama. And as we start to get into SEC play, people are, and Alabama starts to go up against opponents, like I said, Georgia and Tennessee and Ole Miss and Texas even. People are going to start to see Jalen Milroe perform in those big stages, those big games, and he has a great chance of moving up on this list over the course of the season. So right now I have Jalen Milroe at number 3 on our Heisman watch list, and at number 2, guys, another SEC quarterback, and this guy just putting up great numbers in Ole Miss, putting up great numbers as a whole, and that's Jackson Dart. Listen, Jackson Dart has 795 yards in the season, 6 touchdowns, a 93.5 QBR, which is good for 4th in the country. And if we look at his rushing stats, he has 12 carries, 19 yards, and 2 touchdowns, so he's accountable for 8 touchdowns. But that Ole Miss offense as a whole just looks explosive, and Lane Kiffin has done a great job bringing in talented players and recruits and players out of the transfer portal. Ole Miss is going to be a team that has a legitimate chance of vying for an SEC championship. A very top-heavy SEC. But like I said, Jackson Dart now at number 2. However, I am concerned about Ole Miss's defense, and though they are highly proficient offensively, the defense concerns me. And there's going to come a time where their defense is going to have to get a stop in order for them to win a game. And is their defense good enough to do that? That remains to be seen. And if Ole Miss can't finish in the top 10 in terms of rankings at the end of the season, I'm uncertain about how high Jackson Dart's chances are of winning of a Heisman. Obviously with team success comes a higher likelihood of winning the Heisman, and Jackson Dart is going to need the defense at Ole Miss to play proficient and play efficiently in order for him to have a increased likelihood of winning the Heisman. But right now I have Jackson Dart at number 2. And sticking with the SEC again, we've got an all SEC list this week. And coming in at number 1, this quarterback has perhaps the most impressive win of the season so far, going into Michigan and defeating the Michigan Wolverines, and that's Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers has 506 yards in the season, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, 84.2 QBR, which is good for 16th in the country. And like I said, he has perhaps the most impressive victory of the season going into Michigan. And this is the second year in a row where he's gone into a hostile environment on the road and defeated a top 10 opponent. Highly impressive. And, Quinn Ewers, like I said, is playing for perhaps the most complete team right now in the country in Texas. A team that has a very legitimate chance of winning the SEC championship. A team that is continuing to get better. A team that has a great defense and obviously a highly explosive offense led by Quinn Ewers and transfer receiver Isaiah Bond. And listen, right now, the more Texas wins, the more Quinn has a high likelihood of winning the Heisman. And Quinn looks complete right now as a quarterback. At least at the collegiate level. It's always fairly uncertain how these guys translate to the league, but Quinn has shown complete control over that Texas offense, and Sark has completely handed the reins over to him, Steve Sarkisian, and that's just going to allow Quinn to make more reads and to, obviously make more audibles, and Sarkisian is going to allow Quinn to, be as explosive as he wants to, and that's just going to lead to increased numbers. But right now, I have Quinn Ewers at number 1 on my Heisman watch list. Let me know what you guys think about this list. Am I missing anybody? Would you guys rearrange the order? What's your guys' list right now? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section in the chat room. I'd love to hear all about it. But with that being said, guys, that is it for our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful show. Once again, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay updated on all our latest content that we post daily. And none of this is possible without you guys as fans, so we're just so grateful and honored and appreciative for all the love and support that you guys show us day in and day out. And it's a pleasure to have this platform. So with that being said, guys, we'll be back again on Monday with our NFL show, as well as our basketball show and our college football show. Until then, guys, continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, have a wonderful weekend, and peace.